Welcome to the Lo-Fi High Inspire Work Your Way Vodcast, a collection of interviews from people all over the world who are living a little and a lot outside the box so that they can work their way in the hope that it inspires you to find ways to work your way. They actually prefer it to be shit. Yeah. Anyway, we're recording. So I'm just justifying our interesting film quality that we've got because it's got dark while we're having this now part 2 of the conversation, which is with Ramona. So we're going to start back from the beginning of the conversation, which is just first a bit of background of we're in Nusa Lembongan. If you missed it, there was a part 1, which was here with Stephanie. We talked about things like the ethics of travelling and how to manage like friendships and connections back home and, you know, that sort of stuff. So watch that one if you haven't. And now we've got our part 2. So do you want to explain a little bit how you find yourself here on Nusa Lembongan in Bali?
Yes. So my name is Ramona. I'm a creative director in advertising, so almost the same stuff like Steffi is doing. Creative director and copywriter, and I also have my German work wife. She's based in Berlin, and we are freelancers since I think 7 years now. We started like in proper agencies in Berlin, and then we decided to go freelance, which was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because I could be my own boss, and do my own schedule to my and manage my own workload, especially. I
feel like this actually the freelance, and we're just going to jump on that, because that even in itself sometimes it doesn't have to be like for some people that are. And the reason I started doing this series was not so much that everyone should like come to Bali or become a digital nomad. It's just to say there's different ways that we can do work and we can do life. And I think a lot of people come to me on that edge of like, do I stay working for an organization or do I start my own business and freelance? What was it about working for someone else, I suppose, that wasn't working for you? And then what was it, what caused you to make that decision to transition into freelancing?
I would say I took the decision super naive, because I was like, I had no responsibilities. I was, I think, 23 years old.
Yeah.
I had 2 years of experience in an agency, and I was like, I don't know where I got the balls from, but somehow I was like, seriously, that feels wrong for me.
Yeah.
Like being in this 9 to 5 job, or even longer. In agencies, you do a lot of extra hours because you waste a lot of time like chatting and stuff. So which is also fun and super social, which is also, by the way, a part that is missing as a freelancer sometimes. But yeah, it was just like I felt this is not right for me. I feel like, okay, this is life. Like really being like, have you, 5 weeks holidays a year, and then just, I felt really trapped, and I was like, come on, let's try it. And if it doesn't work out, we just raise our hands and the next agency is like taking us, I guess. Yeah. That was my attitude at this point. And because I also never like raised my standards of living that much, so I could always like, you know what, these, 2,000 or 3,000 euros I could earn literally by waiting. Like if everything is going to shit, I could like serve dishes or whatever. I could be a waiter. Nonetheless, I have a good education and I'm good at my job, and I never expected also freelancing to be that financially interesting as well. I earn so much more in so much less time. Also the pressure is higher, but still you can manage, okay, do I want to take this project or do I drop it or do I need a break? And this is it gives me so much freedom and also helps me to manage my energy, because I'm not someone who is like, I already told you guys, we
had a conversation, I think a little bit about, well, we just talked about temperament, and this happens with a lot of my clients too, where they might be, I have a lot of clients who are highly sensitive. So this is like, I talk about it a bit, but it's like 20% of the population have a more attuned nervous system. So we tend to be taking, and those people usually, like, we can be sensitive to texture, temperature, smell, sleep, food, toxins, but also we're picking up a lot of extra information. So if we walk in a room, we're picking up a lot more. So being in a workplace with lots of people, it's so much data coming in, because we're reading facial expression, their smell, what's this conversation, and we're trying to decode it as well.
Someone looking at me.
Yeah, was this personal? So I think also when you're highly sensitive, you can often you read someone's face, but we still read it through our own lens or our own childhood experiences. So sometimes we take it personally when it's nothing to do with us. So for someone who's highly sensitive, to work in a busy workplace can actually be very, very difficult.
And now that you say that, I just noticed that I was like, I was super anxious when we had like meetings in bigger groups. Of course, I was young, but I was also like presenting in person my ideas was horrible. I was so stressed. It really I couldn't do it, and that's like remote work really helped me to even get comfortable with presenting, because people couldn't look. I could look at the screen, at the screen, and not at like 10 faces, which was like really a big help for me personally. And but
this is actually a lot of people have found this, especially since at COVID, when people went online, all of a sudden they realized that actually this style of working also works really well for introverts, not feeling like you can work. It also can work really well for people who are on the spectrum, so that have that are on the autism spectrum. And I think this is now becoming much, people are realizing that they were high functioning, because there's some crossover between autism and high sensitivity, in the sense of, so we're reading everything if we're highly sensitive. If you're on the spectrum, sometimes you just can't read the room. So actually this way of working remote can help you to manage the energy interaction with clients. So absolutely.
And what I also already told you, what was kind of like a really big revelation for me, was when I spoke to my therapist about I felt like as being a failure because I couldn't do this. I founded a company a couple of years ago, a little small brand, but it kind of I spiraled into a burnout, I would say. And the reason was because it was a never-ending fucking project, because being an entrepreneur is you just keep on going and you don't have an end at some point. And I felt really, really bad about this. I'm not resilient, I can't do it. And she's like, well, Ramona, maybe it's just you're a sprinter. Some people are marathon runners. You are a fucking sprinter. You can do really cool project in this amount of time and give everything and put your heart in it. And then you need a break and you need something new. And I was like, I need something. This is exactly how I work, for example. And that was actually one of the best things I found out.
So shorter project work is better for you, because you get the completion, you get to stop, take a breath, and then start something. Yeah,
and also I get already freaked out if I have to jump on a Teams setup in a because we switch agencies and stuff, and we have different communication channels, and I try to really avoid as much communication as possible, because it keeps me so distracted from actually doing the work and being creative. And this is and I also enjoy the time difference so much. I have 4 hours of full focus in the morning. I can go surfing and my day is already good.
So how do you, so on a practical level, somebody has to talk to the clients. So when you've gone to freelancing, because I think there's a few things that you're talking, so you've talked about all the positives of freelancing, and I think there are a lot of people who feel like this, like, oh, freelancing is going to be the answer, because you can manage your own, and I relate to everything you're saying. There's all 100%. I think I realized I've only ever worked for somebody in a permanent part-time position 6 months in my entire life. Like, I've never had holiday leave, and I've never had sick leave. So it's a, it's a unique, there's a downside to it, and a lot of people hear it and they just hear all this, like, oh, here you are in Bali, and oh, you went surfing and you worked 4 hours, and oh, I don't want to talk to the client, so I'm not going to. But the reality is somebody needs to. So how do you manage those parts of the job, like, like a Teams meeting or something that you don't like? Because, so how do you...
Like one downside, which I want to say up front, is that sometimes it feels like you're giving up your career, because you are like, of course I earn my money, and it is good, and people know me within the industry, but you are, how do you say, like, sometimes, especially in our area, you're the ghostwriter. You're like giving ideas to the agencies, and then they sell it. And you're not making your career in a jury or whatever. So you give the official career on LinkedIn away and be your own boss. So your own individual. But also, of course, there are plenty of downsides as well. I'm super lucky that I can work with my, also one of my best friends. She's my creative partner, and she's like she loves communication, and she's really good in like client communications and stuff. So she's doing most of that work, which makes me really lucky. But I try to also support her with this. And but there are other downsides. Of course, the pressure is super high because you get paid your daily rate, and then you have to perform. In, like, I would say, in other jobs, you're sometimes, when you're low on energy, you just answer some emails and get a coffee, and
and you get paid anyway.
You get paid, but you have to sit there for fucking 8 hours and then just leave. So, also the social disconnection is a big part. Like, you don't have your work family. You don't have this. You're not. How do I put it? This is missing. You have to see that you can, like, get it from somewhere else, your social interaction, which is sometimes really exhausting if you have to do it afterwards, after work, especially when you are away. It's even harder.
So how do you manage doing that? I mean, the funny thing is, if I poke Stephanie's head back into the screen again, I mean, you guys are traveling together and working side by side. We can't see you.
Which is super lucky,
she's not,
but also not always the case.
So there's two questions that come up for me around this thing. Like, one about managing, how do you pull support around you? How do you maintain connection with people? Like, how do you create that energy? That's one question. And another question I've got is you said you're working with your best friend. So how have you set this up in a way that protects your friendship? And like, how have you managed agreements? Like, because it can be actually a really risky, like, because I get clients that are either friends setting things up or partners setting things up, like a boyfriend and a girlfriend or a husband and wife. And I've had a mother and daughter, So how do you protect that relationship from the work side? How do you still be best friends separate from what, like, how? So that sort of side of things. That was two questions.
I already forgot the first.
The first one was, how do you keep some social connection around you?
So first of all, I think social connection is sometimes for me also social pressure, because I'm an introvert. I have to accept that. So I actually really enjoy having space and time for myself to, just be with me or in nature or whatever. So, and of course, a big part of it is that I'm lucky that I can travel with a partner most of the time. and we are like this little family then.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dog is with us as well, but this is basically it sometimes, and which is really also like a big, like I'm missing that quite often. But also you notice when you're away who is really close to you, and sometimes I have the feeling, especially in cities, you just meet people to keep yourself busy and to like prove yourself you're not lonely, kind of. You meet a lot of, and also this like loose relationship are super important, and this like extended friendships. But also it really comes down to, I don't know, maybe if you're lucky, 2 hands, you are really like trying to keep the connection, to be honest. And the rest is, I'm back and I'm happy to see them, but it's really hard to keep the connection. And if you are a person who leads a lot of people around you and always like, and of course when you travel, you sometimes are lucky and you meet new people, but sometimes you're just like, I don't know, weeks with your partner and you barely meet anyone interesting or something. So how do I manage this? I try to, of course, I do a lot of like longer mini podcasts, I always call them, and send them to friends,
like
and then they give
like
me
the audio
voices,
podcast,
yes. And then they reply, and no one, like the friends I send them with, it's also totally fine if you don't answer for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing urgent, because they know you are away, and then you just, I think if people really understand you and love you, you can say, honestly, I'm so sorry, I wanted to take the time to answer. Yeah. And I hope they accept it. But so this is how I try to keep in touch, and of course, like call your family once a week.
Yeah.
And send some photos, which I do too less.
But I think with the introvert temperament, that's a different relationship with having people around, and I do think freelance can work really well for introverts, and I think it can be more challenging. But I feel maybe, are you a bit more extroverted, Stephanie? Oh, whose head's out of
definitely
put your
more.
head,
Sorry,
put your head in.
Definitely more than Ramona. I think. I wouldn't call myself an extrovert, like an extroverted introvert.
The ambivert.
Yeah.
It's called an ambivert. Where you're both introverted and extroverted, or you're you need a bit of both.
Yeah.
And the quality of connections.
But I definitely need people. It's so important. And actually, the older I got, the more I have the pressure of building like a block of people.
Traveling, you said something then, and I do still want to go about this, like the more professional relationship with your best friend. Mm-hmm. But you were talking about traveling with your partner and sometimes traveling with the dog. Mm-hmm. You know what? Pets can be a really big, like there are a lot of people I know who want to travel more or live more flexibly, and it doesn't have to mean that they, it might even just be that they want to do something like live tiny house or move to move somewhere that perhaps you can't, like in nature where you can't have pets, or they want to live in a van or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be just I'm going to go and travel and be in Indonesia. I mean, this issue comes up. So you've got a pet.
I don't. My boyfriend has it. Has a really big dog, a Ridgeback, and she's not, of course, coming to Indonesia or Morocco because just too many street dogs. But we travel anytime or every time we can go by car. For example, Portugal, France. She's coming with us. We rent a car and she's just in the back. She's super uncomplicated. And which is feels like home, because then there's this it's your traveling families for some reason or somehow, and and he has a really good support system in Berlin, and if no one can take her for, I don't know, so for shorter trips he's giving her away to friends, because a lot of people just love to take care of a dog for 1 or 2 weeks, and if we're away for longer, he's bringing it to his parents to Belgium. So, but he's still there's a lot of management around the dog. But it's no negotiation for him. I have nothing to do with it. It's all his business. but he's doing it really well, and he's super organized in this case. And
do you sometimes have to take dogs, or does he sometimes? Well, I mean, it's both of you, but even though it's his thing, is there like reciprocal dog minding that goes on?
what
Like,
is that?
so if you if he has friends who take your dog or his dog, does he then take their dog sometimes if they're around? Not so much.
No, really, because a lot of people in the city, we lived in Berlin, don't like get themselves their own dogs, because it's just not a good place for dogs to be, and also it's really exhausting. And then they're happy to be the babysitter for a while.
It's a good perspective to put, because I think sometimes we think like something that feels like a burden to us, like something like, well, I would like, and I do, this really is an issue, like especially people who, I have a lot of people who are like, they have older dogs and they feel like, oh, I can't make this move, or I can't start this business, or I can't do this thing until the dogs are, until their dogs die. And dogs can live at a really long time. So it's a long time to put your life on hold. So I think just to change this perspective that there might be somebody out there who would absolutely love to have a dog for a month or 6 months or a weekend.
Put it on fucking Instagram and see if someone is like saying, I would love to take
Or even kids sometimes, families with kids where the kids can't have a dog and then
So it's good to think that there are, that our perspective of what our problem is actually can actually be a good opportunity for somebody else. Anyway, so I did want to talk about the dog thing, because that can be an issue for people. So going freelance and working with a friend. So we haven't talked so much about traveling, but I think that this freelance conversation is an important one, because it is one of those turning points people have, which is, do I just keep working for an organisation, or do I freelance? And people working with their friends or partners. So working with your friend, and it's been 7 years now you've been working with her. Without you, like, she's going to watch this, so I don't want you to say anything that you're like, oh my God, what? She never do that or whatever. What kind of challenges have come up between you, and how have you managed that, and how do you look after also just being friends?
So first of all, it also has been I work with my creative partners in 7 years, and we on top founded this brand with another friend like a couple of years ago, and the business is gone now. And also the friendship is gone with this third part. So we had a really, really tough time and breakup, and really it was super hard.
This happens actually really often, which is why I'm asking the
question.
was
not one of my best friends, but it was a long-term friend of hers, and they are like not getting close to each other anymore. So it can be really, really tricky. And you had
exactly the same situation as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we started as 3 and now we're only 2 again.
Yeah. And it happens very commonly. So that's why when people are, and it's always easier if I can get people when they're starting their business, like before they've started. A lot of the time, and it can seem ridiculous, I've had to do it with even boyfriends and girlfriends, where they actually have to write, I get people to write contracts actually, like we have written agreements and contracts. That also worst case scenario. So if it's a couple, it's like, what will you do if you break up? What is the rule? Like, you're going to hate each other in this moment, so you need to put a process that you agree with, that you're doing now while you like each other. So I think it's really important. So what have you done? And you said somewhat you've kind of started naively and it's worked out.
So I think it's still an ongoing process, to be honest. And I think first of all, please don't found with a narcissist. Because I think both people has to be really like caring and also sensitive in a way, and really just want the best for you. And like, you always like, of course, everyone has their flaws and faults and bad days, and you really have to, I don't know, also sometimes swallow stuff, but then also talk about stuff like in the right moment. So I think and sometimes like the other person's fallback is getting passive aggressive, the other one is like more obvious, so it's really the other one has PMS, and so it's sometimes like quick check-ins are enough, and we do them also way too less, and also like this regular, we always plan to do it once a month, but it every time it gets rescheduled, and then like stuff pops out in the heat of the moment, and then you have to figure it out, and then you have calls for 1 or 2 hours where you just speak feelings, and super irrational sometimes, and also with like decision making on do I take this project or not, how it's like we try to do like a matrix where you put on like, okay, how much do I like to take on this project, where's my energy level, what's the financial benefit, what's the timing, so really be mindful in choosing projects and align your capacities. And then also, but the friendship sometimes does come short, because you're just, even though you're like, we had this time where we were working in Berlin, and we lived both in the same city, we were working in our flats remotely, and on weekends we spend time with other people and with our partners, and not together anymore, because we hear each other like, I don't know, 5 hours a day on the phone or in the presentation, and so it really like for a big part it was missing too much, and then we're like, okay, we need to go to a spa together and promise we're not going to talk work, and just like, but you forget that sometimes, and I
think it's important. It happens with couples that work together too, where suddenly you know, like all we do is talk about the business.
And sometimes you get really annoyed of each other, and then you don't want to spend time with them again, because you're like, oh my god, no, I need a break. And so it's but also it really deepens your relationship, because you just know each other inside out. But also, of course, in a work context, and also the downside is, if you are in this relationship, you're always responsible for each other, and you can't decide. That's what I'm like currently trying to figure out, like how to live my own life with my own decisions. What do I want, and not what is best for us, because you need to manage your holidays, you need to manage like if the other one wants to work and the other one wants to make holidays, like everyone is compromising, and it's you basically can't like make fully your own decisions. Of course, you have so much other freedom, but it's also something, you have to be aware.
Why have you chosen to do it in partnership? Because this also comes up to, like, I work with a lot of solo entrepreneurs, and I'm that as well. So it's that thing, and there's a whole nother, so to work, and a lot of people, their answer is, I'll just get a business partner. I'll just get someone to work with. But in the same way, I'm saying that some people say, I'm just going to quit my job and go freelance. Like every choice, like I think I say it's like there's a cost of admission. Like any choice we make in life, like anywhere, you have to pay some kind of price. Why have you chosen, I mean, the other option in what you're saying is you guys could go and just work totally separately, and then you would have complete control. Why not do that? Why have you chosen to work in partnership with someone?
Because especially in a creative field, it gives you need a sparring partner. At least the most people need it, and we were put together in an agency, and it felt right, and we never kind of separated, so it was not an active decision somehow. But
so you started working like you
in
already
the agency. We met in the agency.
So you already the foundation of your friendship was already a working relationship. I think that actually can be a difference too. So you actually already knew how you work together, because this is something that two friends, you can have a great idea together, or a partnership, you know, like a couple, like this is a great idea, but you don't actually know how you work. So I think that's a good foundation. I think that's actually maybe a good foundation, that you already had a history of how you work.
What was the question again? I wanted to add something.
The question was, why did you choose to work with someone not on your own?
Yeah, because working alone would be, I think, I couldn't do it. It just like, it would feel way too lonely. You need something to, I don't know, talk through stuff, and I couldn't imagine working alone as a freelancer, I think. Maybe if I don't know, maybe if I have personal projects and I really enjoy writing right now, this is like, I really love it to be on my own, but in like really earning your money I think you give each other so much security, and also if one is not, especially in a creative thing, it's not like you have to do it like ABC, because you always have to come up with new ideas, and sometimes you have low days, and then luckily the other one is giving the ideas. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be a freelancer. Maybe now that I gained some self-confidence, I could imagine it for some projects, but I think not on a long-term base.
So pros and cons, just to summarize, just because we'll end. But so pros and cons, a little bit of the kind of freelance thing, which is if you're introverted, if you're highly sensitive, if you value that control and ability to work in a focused way. We've got a storm rolling in the background. How dramatic! And there's been fireworks and all sorts.
Oh, and you need discipline.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So the cons are you must be self-disciplined.
Yeah.
You need to manage the social side of things. You need to push through. If you're going to choose to work with a partner, you need to push through that you will lose some of your freedom in working with a partner, and that there is risks to the friendships and the relationships that they need to be managed, but then you've got somebody who can fill the gap. Because I think for the solo entrepreneur, so there's sort of like two parts. One is it really right for me to work for myself, because that's really different from working for someone else. And then is it right for me to get this business partner, because it's often the people's answer. And it's like, yes, as long as you really are thinking through the relationship, how well do you work together, how well can you have those hard conversations, what do you do to not let things fester, like the emotional things, how well can you manage them if they do blow up, are you willing to risk the friendship, because it can fall. So I think there's, things to bear in mind on both sides, but then the benefit is you have got someone to bounce off. You're not doing it all on your own, because I think people working on their own feel really lonely, a lot of responsibility,
so much
no
pressure.
one to share it, nobody to pick up the risk, no one to pick it up for you if things fall through. Like, you really are on your own. So there's the cost. There's always two sides.
Totally.
So this was the conversations go where they go.
Cool.
Thank you. I think if someone's out there thinking about this question of whether they want to stay working in an organisation or go freelance, it's going to give them. And if they're going to do it in partnership or on their own, I think it's given a lot of.
And sometimes
thoughts.
you also get nostalgic about how do you want to go back to the
the
agency?
office.
This one is actually a common one, and then I just know where my paycheck, and if I'm sick, and I get the holidays, and I don't have to think about.
Uncertainty is a good point.
It's
you have
huge.
to deal with it. Yeah.
So what is your relationship with uncertainty? Because you need to be okay with it if you're working freelance. And if you're not, get a job.
Personally, I can deal with uncertainty pretty good, I think. But also because I think
Larry plans everything.
No, that's not true. I mean, uncertainty in
I'm assuming Larry is your partner, or the
Larry's my creative
boyfriend,
partner.
creative partner. Okay, yeah.
But no, I think in terms of is the next project coming because of financial reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I do always have a good backup financially. I keep money aside, because if there is no project for 3 months, I can live with it, and I can deal with it. And I think it's a different topic if you have family, for example, and you have to raise a certain amount of money. This can be
Although
tricky.
I think this solution is still remains the same, because I do have family and I'm a single parent. It's about having the safety net.
Yeah.
I think you have to be willing to spend the safety net. I'm not really good at that personally.
Yeah.
And also this other knowledge that you have, which is if you absolutely have to,
Yeah.
that knowing within yourself, if you
Yeah.
have to wash dishes for
Yeah.
like, it doesn't
It's fine.
mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
actually mean anything.
Yeah.
Like if you got to
Yeah.
go work in a cafe for 2 months to pay your bills and catch your breath,
Yeah.
well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. So
Yeah.
you just have to be okay, you know, like put
Yeah.
that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that at the beginning, like having that self-knowledge that,
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about something. Uncertainty. Yeah, and also, I don't have much. I'm not attached to a lot of things or stuff. So like keeping it lean means a lot to me,
Yeah.
and also, don't have too much financial responsibilities. Like not, I don't know, 1,000 abonnements, and just try to keep it lean.
I think being able to keep
And
it,
rent
I
out
think-
your flat. Don't
Yeah.
be like possessed, really. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you,
You did
for
this
listening.
really nice.